Welcome to GR Giving Day podcast. I've got Rachel, oh my goodness, Rachel Gray, right?
Yes, that's right.
Correct?
Good morning.
Karmen Johnson.
Yes, that's
with me
correct.
today. So I'm excited to talk with you guys about GR Giving Day. So if you wouldn't mind kind of going around the room here, talk about where you're from, and then we'll talk a little bit about GR Giving Day. So we'll start here.
All right. So again, I'm Rachel Gray. I'm the executive director of Hello West Michigan. So we are a nonprofit that is all about growing our community. We want to make it really easy for people to relocate to West Michigan. So we promote our area, brand our area, make it known that West Michigan is a great place to live and work, and then help individuals on their journey to come here. So relocation is one of the top 3 most stressful life events that someone can face when you relocate to a new city. And we want to make that process as easy as possible. So through our resources online, through our programs like Weekly Resume Pack and Rapid Roots, we want to make it really easy for people to come here, because the truth is that we need our population to grow if our economy is going to grow. And so making that as easy as possible is super important. And we're not the only ones doing this. There's other organizations like ours across the country. And so we want to make sure that we're making West Michigan the easiest place to move to.
Awesome. So I've got a quick question before we move on to Karmen. How do you convince someone to move here when there's snow on the ground?
When there's snow on the ground. So the thing is that every state has an indoor season. And the beautiful thing about what people perceive to be our indoor season of winter is that you can still actually go outside and have a lot of fun. And in West Michigan, we really embrace winter for sure. But you think about places like Arizona. I actually have a cousin who lives in Phoenix, and I see her every Labor Day. That's when the family gets together. And I say, oh my gosh, what have you been doing all summer? This is what I've been doing. And, list all the things out, right? How busy are we in the summer in West Michigan? And when I ask her what she's been up to, she always says, well, it's really too hot to go outside. So now that it's Labor Day and it's going to cool down, now we have this, and this planned. So every state has an indoor season, but the fact is that here in West Michigan, we know how to embrace ours, right? We know how to handle snow. And I think snow makes winter way more fun than if it's just, straight up cold like they have in Minnesota or North Dakota. The snow means you can embrace snow sports. And so what I always tell people who are relocating and have never experienced winter before is 1, layer up, make sure you're prepared. But then number 2 is go try a snow sport, go try something outside and see what's going on. I mean, we have World of Winter here. It's the largest outdoor winter festival in the Midwest. Like, it goes on for weeks and weeks, and everything is outside. Doesn't matter what the weather is. You're going to have a great time. And so that's really the key, is that we embrace it here. So it's still possible.
So Karmen, you can tell how many times she's had that little like rinse and repeat, right?
Yes.
I'm like, oh my gosh, she's got that on record playback. That's great.
I'm all interested.
Yeah. All right. We're going to go
Maybe.
skiing this winter?
That's a good answer.
I live
when
in
it comes to Michigan.
and I want to live there now again.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go.
So that's good.
I'm embracing the winter this year.
Don't miss it.
Awesome.
Right.
Oh, Karmen,
right.
why don't you tell about yourself?
Yes, I'm Karmen Johnson. I'm the executive director for Marvelous Lifestyles Outreach, in support of West Michigan and everything that Hello West Michigan is doing. Our job is to embrace families, to make us more attractable as not just a city, but as a county. So our focus is youth development. We actually go into schools and teach financial literacy. We work with youth in regards to sports, because as you know, sports can be unaffordable with training and practice facilities. So we provide that to a lot of youth in this area. And as of recently, we are actually getting into the childcare space, because it's a big crisis, not just in Michigan, but everywhere. So trying to address that and make it more affordable, bringing quality, and also caring for not just the kids that are there and the families, but the staff. It's a lot of turnover in the education field. So we're trying to help mend that area as well.
So there's like 3 areas, it
Yes.
sounds like.
Yes.
So what's the common thread between all 3?
So the connection is families. And what we see is not just our lower income families that need the assistance, but now middle class. Middle class is struggling just as much because they don't get the assistance. So trying to mend those areas and keep our working class families working, it actually affects the workforce as well. well. So it's like a big circle and it just keeps repeating itself. My background is finance. I used to be a bank manager. And one thing we noticed with a lot of families is that childcare became an issue as far as affordability, and which means they were quitting their jobs, turning around, which means now you don't qualify to get a house. So then housing becomes an issue. So it was just like, what is going on in the childcare space? And the issue is we need to start treating childcare just like the rest of the education system, where we need support from the state level. Otherwise than that, you end up paying $500 a week to send your child to childcare. Because now a lot of facilities want to be able to pay their staff to have quality. So it just full circle, right? There's a bigger issue and a deeper relation there. But as a nonprofit, we feel like we can come in and help fill a lot of those holes and try to mend that, not just on a affordability level, but policy as well. So got a long haul.
Feels like both of you guys are going to have some really good stories to tell. I would love to pick one or two stories and share with the audience how the impact of Hello at West Michigan and then the impact of Marvelous Lifestyles. I'd love to hear a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So first one that comes to mind is this is actually kind of a full circle story. So this was an individual. He was actually a veteran. So we just passed Veterans Day, and I don't know if you know this, but when military members are exiting, they get one free move. So basically, once they're done with the military, they can move anywhere in the country they want to go. And this gentleman was from West Michigan. And his dad met our staff at an event, and he's like, I'd love my son to come here. I've got grandkids, but I only get to see them, once a year at the holidays. But he's lived all over the country and really the world through his military service. Like, why would he want to come back here? And our team said, well, let us talk to him. Let's just talk to him about what type of lifestyle he wants, what type of career is he looking for, what does he like to do after work and 5 o'clock, right? Talking to your parents about that is a little bit different than talking to, a third party who might get it a little bit more. And so we talked to this individual, and eventually he went through our program called our weekly resume pack program. And that's where we take candidates who are interested in relocating here and sending them out to our member employers. And it's just a really great way to bring these two audiences together. And so this individual, he moved his family here to West Michigan. So it was himself, his wife, his kids. And now that grandparent that originally talked to us and originally told us about him, he gets to see his grandkids every single week, right? Like, it's no longer a once a year thing. It happens every single week. He gets to see them grow up. And that's because we were able to connect that individual not only with employment, but also with the resources that he needed in this community. And what did his family need in that relocation? Now this story is, it's a little bit older now. It's from 10 years ago and full circle. And now he serves on our board of directors. And now he gets to help impact others like him, who are also making that relocation journey. And so again, relocation, it's such a personal decision, and there's so many factors. And so, for us at Hello West Michigan, it's all about how can we make sure that we have the pulse of everything that's going on in our community, so that no matter what someone is interested in, either career-wise or family-wise, or what are some special needs that they have, a certain type of healthcare, certain type of school that has specific services, what do they need so that they can make that relocation a success?
What are some things that, speaking of which, that we don't think about when you're relocating that, hey, people are considering, but if you're not relocating, you're obviously not thinking about all these different factors. And it sounds like you're not only just helping them relocate, you're helping them identify things around their decisions to say, hey, here's some different support services around that. What are some different things? You listed a few of them, but what are some different things in that?
Absolutely. So we think about relocation. Once you make the decision to relocate, there's kind of 3 stages. So even as you get up to the decision, right, there's a lot of factors that go into that. And we work with people in different stages of relocation. Maybe if they're considering, it's in their long range plan, or sometimes we talk to trailing significant others who say, my spouse just accepted a job and we got 3 weeks and I have to stay and pack up the house and, transition the kids in school, and I don't have a job and I wasn't ready for this. Like, my spouse got a recruiting call that no one expected, right? It was out of the blue. And now I wasn't ready to leave my job. My resume's not up to date. I don't know where to look. We've never been to West Michigan before, right? We don't understand, when people say, where are you from? And they point to their hand, they don't understand that places like Corewell Health, okay, that's not just your new doctor, but they're the largest employer in Michigan. They have the biggest IT department. Meyer, Spartan Nash, maybe that's not just your new grocery store. They also have headquarters here. So people, if they've never come to West Michigan, there's a lot of culture that you have to assimilate to and understand. And when you're on the other side of that, it can feel really othering. And so when you think about those stages of relocation, there's really 3 stages. Once you know you're coming, there's 3 main things. The first is a job. Typically, you got to have a job to make it work. You're going to need a house or housing. And then you're going to need schools for your kids if you have kids. Those are the things you're going to take care of before you look at anything else. Then after that, the second stage is really about settling in. It's about geographically grounding yourself, right? Which way does the Beltline go? 131, how is that different than 31 in Holland, or 96 versus 196? How do I get downtown? How do I go from my house to my job without putting on my GPS, right? That takes time when you're learning a new community. And then think about all of the services that you go through in your daily life. Your doctor, your dentist, your hairdresser, your vet, your dry cleaner, your accountant. I mean, all these things, you probably, if you've been here, you've spent years kind of,
accumulating all.
Correct.
Yeah.
And when you relocate, it happens all at once. You need almost all of those things within the first 6 months of being here. And that takes a lot of work. And then we haven't even talked about the third stage, which is finding friends, right? We all want people to go out with, to have fun with, to feel like someone cares that I live here. And that's a very long process. That's a whole nother lecture, a whole nother podcast that we talk about, because it's a long process to find friends and to find your community here. And so along the way, Hello West Michigan, we try to address each of those 3 stages and help folks out.
That's awesome. Really cool. Well,
That's good to know.
yeah. So how about you? What are some stories in your world?
Well, in my world, we actually launched 2 years ago in regards to our Future Wealth Builders program, which is focused on professional development and financial literacy for youth. And within that program, my first year students were, I think, in 8th grade at Excel Charter Academy. And so now those students are now 10th graders. So to show from that, I was just sharing with someone, one of my students who is now a sophomore in high school actually emailed me and was just like, hey, Mrs. Johnson, can you go over those investment options with me again? I was actually online last night trying to figure this out with my parents. So to me, that shows that she's actually trying and going out of her way. And for a kid nowadays with TikTok and social media, that says a lot. So it shows me that she's creating her own purpose. She's finding things that she values. And not only is she talking about it to me, but she's talking about it to her family as well. So that means a lot, that family impactment. Now this is a conversation at the table, because we can all say growing up, money wasn't the topic at the table. It was kind of hush hush. It was hush hush about how much people made, when their employment started, what you're doing for a living for the most part. There was no details and meat given to us as kids. So then growing up, trying to figure it out on your own with no direction, I feel like a lot of kids could use straightforward answers and just broaden their horizon. Because unfortunately, a lot of times I walk the hallways at different schools, you can see in their eyes that they're just looking for purpose, and they just sometimes just don't have the opportunity. So when it's presented to them, you kind of can see the change, and the outcomes show when they start emailing you, asking you about investments. I struggle with that with adults. So for a child to reach out to me and ask me about investments, it shows me that we're on the right path, and it means a lot. So it really caught me off guard. I was like, what? Yes, that is what I'm talking about.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So
how do you meet a child where they're at? Because I have to imagine there's some that are a little bit more proficient, and there's some that are you gotta, before you can talk about financial literacy, you almost have to go back to math or right. So it's how do you figure out that spectrum?
Exactly. So when we first entered the space, that was the first battle. How do I even get them interested in financial literacy? Because as you know, it's required in high school now. And so I sat in on some classes for seniors, and I could see the disconnect. They weren't interested. I'm sorry, seniors check out. It's too late. When they're a senior, it's too late. This is why I value middle school students, because if you can start laying the foundation earlier than that would be great. But meeting them where they're at was our biggest focus. So I would attend events that were financial literacy based for youth, and the turnout would either be low or they weren't like in tune to what was going on. They were just there for the snacks or the food.
That's why I'm there.
You know? So, and I get it. So it was just like, I'm like, we got to go where they're at already in a learning atmosphere where they're actually trying to focus. So what I did was I started to go to the schools and mingle with them, have normal conversations, meet them where they're at, not just educating, but just talking to them as everyday students and just seeing, what are your interests? What do you like to do? Like, they were like, oh, wow, who is this lady walking around school actually interested in what I have to say? I'm a kid. So it was just like seeing that spark. And then the school will introduce me and they're like, oh, that's why she's here. And so then I just kind of give them a spiel about, how I'm coming into the school and what I'm trying to introduce. And they're like, all right, I'll consider it. And then I would end with, and I will provide snacks and food when you come. And that works. So they would attend, but the topics were more on their level. So we would talk about things that they could relate to. And that's a part of meeting them where they're at. Right. So what are they interested in? I know you guys like buying the video games. How do you save and prepare to buy that? Are your parents buying it for you? Like, what is the process behind that? And then leading into what's life look like after middle school, or hey, what does life look like after high school? And everyone's like, oh, Ms. Johnson, you're just going to tell us to go to college. That's not what I was going to say. I want to know, what are your plans? And if you don't have any, how do we make them? Yeah. Like, what does that look like? Everyone doesn't have the same roadmap, and that's okay. Let's see where your roadmap takes you, what interests you. And that's where we kind of depend on our community to invite us in spaces so we can attract their eyes and make them see that, hey, there's more to life than, hey, you have to go straight to college. Because that was fed to us. And sometimes it turned out great, and sometimes it wasn't for that person at that time. I'm like, maybe college is around the corner for you and you have to see what works for you first. So we try to approach kids and meet them where they're at on all levels. And then we always invite the community to help us with that process, whether someone comes in to volunteer as a speaker or we come into your space and say, hey, this is what life looks like on my side of my career. And this is how I got here. And some stories are like your standard, high school, college, family. And then you have the ones that are like, whoa, how did you even get to this point if you had all these twists and turns on your roadmap? Because it's doable, right? And they just need to hear that it is and see people in real life versus the people they see on TV, which is not reality. So we try to give them reality mixed with hope and purpose. And that's where we find the joy at in what we do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Speaking of meeting where they're at, nowadays I have a 9-year-old son. Everything's within the context of Minecraft. I have to relate everything back to Minecraft.
Yep.
He's like, the iron ore when you mine it, and he's like, yeah, oh yeah, that's
right.
Financial literacy. Right?
Yes, right. That is all. But it relates, right? Yeah. And then you get their attention, and they're like, oh, I see where you're going with this.
Exactly.
But it makes sense, right?
Yes. Well, GR Giving Day. So if you guys wouldn't mind talking a little bit about what is your hope for your organization to get out of GR Giving Day and your participation in it, and what do you want to use? We're raising funds for your organization. What do you want to use those funds for? So those couple questions. So we'll start here.
Sure. So we are so excited about GR Giving Day. Again, I think one of the things that we brand for our community and that we sell to candidates outside the region is that we're an incredibly philanthropic community. So for us as a nonprofit at Hello West Michigan to be able to participate in that is really awesome. So what we're looking to do with what we raise is to start an ambassador program. So Hello West Michigan, we have amazing things to say about West Michigan, but I'm not the only one, right? The things that I like to do after 5 o'clock and on the weekends may not be the same things that you like to do, or a job seeker that's getting in contact with us. And so what we're looking to do is create an ambassador program where we can create a group of ambassadors from amazing community members that have great things to say about West Michigan. So then when a potential relocatee is interested in asking a question, they could look at Karmen's profile as an ambassador and say, oh my gosh, like this is what Karmen does. Either she's doing something that I'm really passionate about, or, she has kids and I, Rachel, I don't. That's not what's on my profile. So what is Karmen doing with her family after 5 o'clock and on the weekends? So I'm going to ask Karmen a question about what is it like to live in West Michigan. And so that's what we're looking at doing, is how can we help really amplify the voices of multiple people in West Michigan to then be able to speak even louder about our community and really provide more access to those potential relocatees so that more information is available, but it's not just more. It's incredibly personalized because you can answer a question and have a one-on-one conversation with someone that's interested in relocating here. So we're pretty pumped. Other communities have it. It's important that we keep up.
Awesome. Cool. How about yourself?
I'm looking forward to the relationships as well for GR Giving Day. I love being able to connect. Even coming here today, I learned a lot about the studio, which is amazing because now I can go and reintroduce that to my students. So I feel like there's a lot of value in relationships and building those relationships. And I feel that GR Giving Day has given us the platform for us to connect and fill in some of those areas where it's like an aha moment. And it's like, oh, you do that great. Let's do this together, which makes sense for GR Giving Day, right? And then on the financial end, it will help support our programming. With us about to launch our childcare space, I know there's a huge need for the families that we're going to serve, where there will be a lapse in funding in regards to opening our doors. There's the need of furniture. There's the need of supporting our low to middle class families in that area, especially on the southeast side of Grand Rapids. And we want to be able to give them the space where they can have that cushion and have these emergency funds to support the families. Even when they don't qualify for DHS, there's still the need to help and assist those families to get started with their journey and to support them.
That's great. Yeah. And so Rachel and Karmen, as we close, I want to ask the question, what does your organization need from people maybe listening to this podcast? Mm-hmm. And then how can they get involved in your mission?
Absolutely. So, I think first and foremost, if you know someone, we're coming up on the holiday season. Mm-hmm. And so if you have family that's coming into town that doesn't live here, talk to them about, hey, have you thought about West Michigan as a destination? I know you might be looking to make a change, whether that's job, whether that's lifestyle, like just talk to your family members and your friends who are visiting about what is it like to live here. And maybe start that conversation. That's something that everyone can do to help. So that's number one. Number two is speak positively about West Michigan. You already asked about winter. I already gave you the great answer of what you say, but don't complain. Don't complain on social media about go post something positive about winter on social media. Tell me what you're out doing. To show me a picture at World of Winter. Show me a picture of you out skiing. Post something positive. That's number two. And then number three is donate. Whether it's to Hello West Michigan through GR Giving Day or one of our other amazing organizations that's participating. Mm-hmm. Donate to something that speaks to you and that you think is going to have an impact. It's really all about how can we connect each other. Mm-hmm. And I love that we're able to have this platform together so that we can tell more people about it, because I think all it takes is one, right? All it takes is one person to then kind of carry that mantle and then keep that conversation going. So would love for you to donate to Hello West Michigan through GR Giving Day, but also, keep the love going. If it's not me, donate to Karmen.
Oh, thanks, Rachel. I appreciate it. Same here. I just feel that people should be involved. And if you're not sure of who to donate to, December 3rd, come talk to us, figure it out, come walk around the room in the space. Like you said, there's a ton of us there that are doing amazing things. And I know one topic will definitely hit home for someone. So even just if you need to walk around the space or visit the website just to scroll through, there's someone there you can donate to. And it doesn't matter the amount. People are so amount heavy and friendly, and it's just like anything helps. So feel free. And another big thing for us is we always need volunteers. There's always a lapse for us when it comes to youth development, where there's a need for support in sports, in the classrooms. Even we fill in sometimes with teachers. Junior Achievements is doing amazing things at their facility. They could use volunteers in that space. And a lot of students are starting to utilize it. So there's always a need for volunteers. And when you're involved with youth, there's a never-ending story. Yes. You can never have too many people to volunteer. Yes. Everyone gets that message from school and they're like, hey, field trip, any parents want to go? So if you have the time and capacity, feel free. If you can't give money, give your time. That's even more valuable nowadays than ever. So we appreciate anything you can do, and feel free to volunteer with us. We do have a volunteer sign up on our website at any time, and we always look forward to having our volunteers with us.
That's great. So websites, hellowestmichigan.com, and then marvelouslifestylesoutreach.org.
That is correct.
Awesome.
Yep.
And then grgivingday.com for those listings. So.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Rachel and Karmen. I really appreciate you guys' time. It was fun chatting, and I'm looking forward to GR Giving Day on December 3rd.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.